Hello, welcome back to week 24 of Let's Make a Book Baby, where I'm taking you all the way from the beginning of writing my book until I publish it. So I'm supposed to be finishing my book the day I'm filming this in like 2 days from now. I don't know if I will achieve that, like the first draft, but I was talking to my therapist because I've been very stuck, and we had this idea that if I started to draw my characters for fun, in the past that has helped me get out of my creative like stuckness, because it just switches the way that I'm thinking, because I have OCD and sometimes I just get stuck in a cycle of OCD trapping me into thinking about something, and it's not very pleasant and doesn't feel very inspiring. So what does feel inspiring usually is drawing my characters. I have these as reference for myself, and I think that when I was talking to her, I was like, oh, I do have an idea for the cover, but I don't want it to feel like pressure that this might be the cover. And then she's like, yeah, like I don't know how you usually draw your stuff, and I was like, actually it might be fun to use paper for once, because I have been doing mainly like drawing directly on my screen type of digital art. That might be nice to have the feeling of that. So I was like, I think I'm gonna get some charcoal out. So I wanted to do that here while talking to you and giving you an update. Okay, so here's my idea. I'm gonna tell you about an update, including a title reveal at the end of this video. Oh my god, this is already a disaster. I did spend some time creating an official title reveal, so I did make the graphics for the title. I don't know if they're going to be the final ones because I would like to maybe adjust it a little bit more, but I think I will show you towards the end of the video how I did all of that. But this is just a quick recap. So other than that, I have mainly been trying to write. I did send out the like graphics that I made as like a teaser to a couple of people who were decided to be on the hype team, but I didn't really create more than that yet. And I think that before I end up doing the actual reveal, I'm gonna want to make a couple extra things this week that I can use as bonus posts, and because I don't know if posting just once really is going to work most of the time anymore. Otherwise, I've been just feeling like a little bit stuck in this section still of my book, and I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm coming back every single week to tell you on YouTube that I'm stuck on this part, and it's driving me nuts. Like, I know that it's OCD because it's not something that can be swayed by logic. So it was like attempting to derail what I feel like was a productive and happy process for me. So that's pretty disappointing, or has been more disappointing. Like, I didn't really feel like it was a very productive week because of that. I kept thinking that it was going to be, but then it just ultimately, I just didn't end up actually using what I had tried to put in. So then I was like, well, maybe I'm just needing to change the character's perspective or something. Like, maybe it needs to be Marcus's perspective, but I don't know. I'm gonna work on it later today after I do this and see if this helps at all. And like at this point, as I am drawing this, I don't think that this will be the cover, but I can at least draw some cute artwork. So I would say the main problem that I have been running into is what to do about how Ari has this fictional disability. So he has like a chronic illness of his heats are severely painful, like more than the average person, and so like it doesn't make him feel very excited as most other lichens, like werewolf shifters, would feel during their heats. Which, like, yes, I realize this is a ridiculous thing to be talking about. Okay, it's fine. I thought that it would be fun to add some more chronic illness type of representation into a book like this, because I don't know if I've seen very much of that yet myself. Like, I'm sure it exists. So like obviously, even if there is some that exists, like there still needs to be more of it. Then on the other hand, I'm kind of really liking the plot line where Marcus has like a very undeveloped, we can just say, relationship with his own self, because in this series I decided to have want all my werewolves just have their own inner voices with their wolf forms. Like, they have a full conversation with them, basically. So if Marcus doesn't get along with that side of himself, he's basically not getting along with himself for like most of the book. So I was very intrigued by that, because that's something that I think past me could definitely relate to, especially, and like I would want to see how I could develop his character throughout the series, and that it was just something that just kept catching my interest. He's like experiencing more of his full self than he probably normally would, where he's usually kind of more reserved and hiding some of his nature, I would say, because Marcus has a lot of trauma surrounding alphas, like alpha wolves. He is supposed to be like a gender fluid werewolf, so he has like all the wolf genders that are like on a rotating basis, but most of the time he feels pretty aligned with being an omega. Ari's totally like 100% omega, but he's also a badass, so like not what people would probably assume. I liked that. I like that they have these differing types of aspects to themselves, and that they can draw out different parts of each other based on like their individual experiences, and also like what they bring out of each other. So Ari makes Marcus feel a lot more comfortable with himself, and naturally that means that all of his sides are going to present at some point. And I think that I would like to push Marcus a little further than I was expecting to in this book, and make him have to face even more of that, just because I found his journey as a character so far to be the most interesting thing. Of course, there's still Ari's story, and he has opened up a lot, but he didn't have as hard of a time opening up in the end than I like thought he would. And I still think that I would like to give him some struggles with his chronic illness, but I do actually think that making Ari see that like, oh, I'm not the only one who's like going through stuff, I think that would actually be pretty fun. I'm deciding to switch things up a little bit in terms of like, it's not just going to be only about Marcus supporting Ari through something. Like, I would also like to make Marcus go feral, basically. This is like, sounds like all these serious topics, but really it's still a very spicy book. I would like Marcus to go feral. He needs to let the wolf out, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm deciding right now. And I think part of why I was stuck was that I was just trying to make that work, and I wasn't following any of my own advice about that, because I just felt a lot of pressure. The other mistake that I made was that I decided to look at reviews for another one of my books during this time period that I'm supposed to be finishing this book. If you are not an author, I still think that you might be able to understand why looking at reviews is not very inspiring. It can make you feel like, oh my god, like maybe I'm the worst writer who ever lived, and like there's literally a video of me on here on record saying it doesn't matter if I'm the worst writer in the world, like I can still publish a book, like no one's gonna stop me just because I'm not the best writer in the world. But see, when you have OCD, it does not care. It does not care about any possible logic that you could have about anything. It literally does not matter, as long as it's like thinking that it's like trying to protect you in some way, attacking what you care about because of that. And I just don't really feel like I have been as productive because it has been ruling my creativity, and I'm not feeling inspired when I am just spending all the time looking at what I'm writing and just wondering if it's terrible, rather than just like editing it later like I always say to do. I think that was probably one of the worst things that I could have chosen to do, but I had happened to bring it up in conversation, and I felt like in that moment, like, I feel like I'm avoiding it. And so sometimes I will just challenge myself at some point to be like, yeah, I'm gonna make myself look at this bad review and like still force myself to write a book anyway. So I'm somewhat knowingly making myself go through this, because with OCD, I feel like if I continually challenge my fears and show myself like, hey, you survived, that it's going to reduce them over time. And that has worked so far. Like that's like part of what you would do in ERP, but this is like a more advanced version of it because I have done a lot of that and made a lot of progress. So like I am at a level where I can manage these things, but that doesn't change the fact that it does make it a little bit hard. And I don't think that in the end that was actually a very productive thing to do, because then I was like, oh, this is just giving me proof and fuel of why I'm such a bad writer, and I'm doing something terrible and hurting like society or whatever by writing or whatever. I know that people are going to be saying that as a trans creator, so I need to get used to those types of thoughts and criticisms and not let them stop me doing what I am passionate about doing, because regardless of what I could write, even if I wasn't a trans creator or a disabled creator, someone's gonna hate it. Someone's going to tear it apart, think it's the worst thing in the world, especially if it's not for them, and they just like that bean soup theory that I was just seeing today, where someone posts a bean soup recipe and their comments are like, well, what if I don't like beans? And it's like, well, this isn't relevant to you. Like, you don't need to put your bean opinion in here, because it's different than just having like a debate when it's something that you would just literally never need to be involved in, so that's like unproductive to the conversation we're trying to have. That's what like a lot of reviews are about sometimes, and the reviews in particular that I had looked at that were bothering me, I knew logically that these were from people who didn't read what the book was about, and they're expecting my book to be a totally different subgenre than it was. So part of that is because people were assuming that just because my character looked a certain way that they had to act a certain way, but like that's like just goes to show why I shouldn't be taking those things so personally per se. And yet I was like still having a time and ended up feeling like, oh god, I feel like I'm kind of starting to spiral because of this, when like it's not even relevant. Now it's been a couple of days since I did that to myself, and I feel a little bit better and more just like, okay, I would like to just get this book done, but I have been stuck in this point and like continuing to tell you how I'm stuck, and I'm tired of it. So I'm trying to break OCD's cycle. I'm getting myself a little bit out of my comfort zone right now. I used to love drawing in charcoal, but this is something that I wouldn't normally ever do, and I especially wouldn't show you, so I'm gonna show you. This is just not going to be on the cover. I just ended up drawing Marcus, so I just did a little sketch of him and then shaded it a little bit because willow charcoal is pretty messy, so I tried to keep it kind of loose, but I kind of liked that like the charcoal was like making a mess around the edges. I might just add a little bit of like smudges and things so that it looks kind of like a little more ethereal. That was pretty fun, but let me wash my hands and then tell you about the title of the book. Okay, I apologize if there's like a little bit of a shaky cam here because I'm having to hold my phone as a camera, but here is what I will be posting as the title reveal for this book. Are you ready? So this is the book baby's title that we've been talking about and I've been thinking about for ages. I don't know if you remember me talking about this, but I did waffle back and forth about this title, and it's kind of similar pretty much to what I had in mind all along, so I should have just gone with this to begin with. But I ended up settling on this title for a couple of reasons. Number one, Ari has a special nickname in the very beginning of this book that he gets for himself that's placed onto him by society, but it's a very cool nickname, and Marcus uses it, so I think that that would be fun. Second of all, the point of what Ari is trying to prove is that he is an omega. So there is the word omega in the title. And I think that that helps because I don't have to slap a wolf on the cover in order for you to know that it's an omega verse book. And then if you read the subtitle that you see that it's a shifter book. So that solves a lot of problems, and that's the type of thinking that you have to have for this type of book. On top of that, I would like it to have some type of like fantasy vibes. So let me show you what it actually is. What you'll actually be doing is swiping on social media if you're seeing this on social media. So there's a little swipe to reveal, and then you see the title. So the title is Shadow King Omega, and it's going to be book 1 of Shadow King Omega. So that's what I'm deciding to title the full series. And it's going to be the Steamy Shifter Romance series. This is just what I basically based off of the My Shy Alpha series as a descriptor. So I might change this and put like MM or something, or LGBTQ plus or something, because I'd like to emphasize that aspect of this book in order to draw in the readers that I am thinking would like the book. Yes, here's some little tropes and everything. Let me show you how I made the title itself. So I first did some tests with different fonts I could find. I did purchase this font to try to make my new logo, which I still need to post. This is basically what it looked like. So it was a little moon and everything. So I wanted to keep some of these vibes. I like that there's little stars. So I did that for this title test that I was doing, and so I tried to find a couple different fonts that I already had that were maybe giving the vibes, like maybe fantasy vibes. I wasn't sure, and I was like, oh, I kind of like how this one has this star, like this ligature that I could make into a star, because normally it's like this. And this is like a preset thing where 2 letters can be close together. I wasn't really liking some of what was happening up here, and then I liked this one because it kind of looks like claws to me, like little like sharp edges and stuff, but I don't think that like I wasn't really feeling super excited. So then I was like, okay, maybe we can just go to this extreme and like see like this looks even more like claws, and then this eye was already upside down. I was like, oh, that's cool, like maybe I should try to do that. But like these other fonts just weren't working. I think this I went back to this type of font for, oh, but it's like not even the same font. So I looked for basically every font that had stars in it we're seeing. I didn't like that. I looked at this. I have this like font pack from a bunch of typographers. So I was trying to look at that, but then I saw this font online and I was like, I don't know if I will end up liking this font. So I took like a screenshot and tried to just piece it together to see if I should actually buy the font. And I started to feel kind of excited about it. So I was like, you know what? Let me just buy the font. I buy my fonts. Let me show you. They absolutely have not sponsored me for this. This is me trying to tell you what I have bought so that you can see that like buying a font is important and not just stealing everything, because they take so long to make these and then they work better when you actually buy them. So this one I had recently bought because I was like, this is really cool. I love like metal fonts and I wanted that for werewolf stuff. So you can see where I was testing the title in this website because it's like saved on my account. Here's my super messy sticker thing. One of them is falling out of it. I don't know why these fell out of the bag, but this is the werewolf one that I ended up doing. If it catches the light, you can see that it's holographic, but that is how I ended up using that metal font. And then I also used the same font I used for my logo to make this vampire sticker, which is also holographic. So that was very fun, and that's the type of thing that I wanted to do. I'm thinking I'll make some fun merch that's like wolf themed using this in other aspects, like something that says like I bite back or something, you know what I mean? But so that is just one example of where like stuff that I've gotten off of Creative Market. It's like a way to get these fonts that support artists directly. So I did stumble upon this font, and at first I did not think that this would work for my book at all, but as I was looking at it, I was kind of like, wait, King has the letter I, like I kind of like some of the S's that were here. And so I was like, you know what? This might actually be kind of fun to play around with. And even here, like I really love how the word shadow looks. I like the omega, and I was like, well, why don't I just like, since this has these cool little stars on them, it's like that kind of inspired me to put the stars in the O's, because that was something that I was seeing and liking on some of these other fonts. So that led me to try to piece this together. I ended up buying the font off of there. So I ended up just putting this together. Here's how I tried to test out my own author name, and then here's how I tried to test out the subtitle. But I didn't really, like I feel like when it's this small, it's kind of thin. So for now, I just temporarily use the same font that I did for the My Chai Alpha series as the subtitle for this. So that's what I still need to figure out this week. It's just for now, for the title reveal, it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, because normally I would not mix 2 serif fonts, and that's what it means when it has these little tails, like the ends of the A's or the ends of the E's or bottoms of the M have those little tails on them. So like you wouldn't try to mix those two types of fonts together. So I don't know honestly what to do about that yet, but I'm gonna figure that out. I just felt like this ended up looking too thin. But yeah, I'm very excited for the title reveal. I would really appreciate your support. I think that I will do like an official post and then we'll do like a little celebration stream. I'm going to be announcing this on my newsletter and I already announced it on Patreon. You're getting to see it here. And I also am just of course going to put it all over like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm very excited. I feel like it's getting closer now. In this video, I didn't obviously make the cover. I just ended up doodling Marcus, but I think that it was a nice break. I might do some more of that before I go back to writing later today. So thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for looking at my process, hearing me blab on about the title. And I hope you're having a great week. And I will see you again next week for another update. But yes, tell me what you're working on below if you are also writing something or drawing something or anything that you're excited about. I want to hear from you. So I hope you're having a great rest of your day or night wherever you are. Goodbye.